Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Dan from Rebellious Noise, and I am here today to give you the predictions on Backlash 2020. And I'm joined by Scott, Rob, and Lucas. What's up, guys?
Hello, hello.
Easy.
Hello, hello.
So, what we're going to do, we are going to go through the Backlash card and we are going to give our thoughts on who is going to win each match and what's going to go down at Backlash, aka the greatest wrestling match.
The
Well,
greatest wrestling show, or yeah.
yeah, the greatest show. So, we are going to kick off with the big blood feud over on SmackDown between Sheamus and Jeffrey Hardy. What are we thinking with this one, boys?
I don't want to. How early do I get the negativity out there?
Might as well get it out of the
There'll
way
be a
now.
common theme. Not a fan for a lot of things going on at the moment, unfortunately. But I'll quickly just get out there because I've been issued to talk about it. Do not use DUIs as storyline. I hate it. I think it's really, really poor taste. Even if Jeff Hardy agrees to it, I think it's a ridiculous storyline. I will say I really enjoyed the presentation of that hit and run and whatever else. I think that kind of realistic presentation was really cool. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was refreshing. Great start to the show until I realised what the storyline was going to be. And now it's obviously looking like Sheamus set him up or something. But right, now that makes him look like a mega heel. I understand it. But for me, and I understand that, it might... Some people might say, but like it's making him look bad. He's highlighting a bad thing. Like that's the point. But I just think it's too touchy for what has gone on with Jeff and so many others in the wrestling industry that I personally think is a bit too distasteful. We don't want to be reminded of other stresses at the moment. So I don't think this is the right time for that storyline. But as far as like the match goes, I think it should be a decent match. Sheamus, to be fair, like I said, is getting a bit of that heel heat back, and Jeff is getting that shine again. And I do actually think his promo recently, where he basically said, like it was a guy with red hair and a red beard and all that, and he was trying to explain himself. I thought that was a really good promo from Jeff, even if I think the subject matter is a poor one. But I think that Sheamus is going to win, because I think it's going to continue to beat down Jeff until he... it looks like it's a storyline where Jeff could, get his comeuppance on Sheamus. But I think it's a bit too soon to do that. I think they're probably going to run with Sheamus looking like a real nasty piece of work for a little bit longer to really rinse this storyline for all they can.
Yeah, I think it's heading into SummerSlam, I'm guessing. That'll be the logical endpoint to it. I have to disagree with you, though, Scott. I think I quite like when we do these out-the-headlines kind of stories. I think it makes the stories feel more real. And it's something which, when we do get to discuss another match on the card, which I think hasn't been done very well, it's been done too cartoonish. I think this is an example where they've done something quite unique. So Sheamus, he was away for a few months, and after facing, was it Shorty G at the feud, wasn't it, when he first came back? And he wasn't part of Mania. He hasn't been part of anything. So I do agree with you in that extent. Like, yeah, Sheamus needs to win this match at least, and then Jeff gets the win later on. So I'd go with Sheamus in this one.
Yeah, I kind of fall in between both of what Scott and what you all saying. It's just I don't like the idea of using a DUI, but at the same time, I like the way that they've done it this time. Normally, I'm against it. Like, I do agree with it. It's not a bad thing of bringing out their demons and what they face and stuff. But at the same time, as Lucas said, it's been done the right way, which I'm enjoying. I'm really torn between it. But my idea is, or my thinking is, Jeff needs to lose a few to overcome these demons from Sheamus in what he's done in his personal life to get himself back on track. So I think he's going to lose a run of matches, then he's going to beat Sheamus. So I think Sheamus will win, but Jeff will win the rivalry overall.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit more tasteful compared to other times that they've done similar storylines. Like I will say I do kind of like the way they're doing it. Seeing as they're doing it, I kind of like the way they're doing it. If they're going to do it anyway, it should be this way, basically. Like where you're making it look like it wasn't Jeff after all. Obviously he's building back up and he's going to try and, like crush those demons sort of thing. So I like that idea of it. I like Sheamus being like scum of the earth sort of thing. And, how could you sink so low and stuff like that? I get that the idea is that the character is doing this. I think it's just DUI. I think that's all it is. I think the fact that people really do die from these things that's why I'm uncomfortable with it. But then on the other hand, you can't, if you're watching EastEnders, someone has a heart attack, you can't get offended because your dad had a heart attack, like that's pushing it too far, because you've got to show that as well. You've got to show that in storylines and whatever might come from that EastEnders storyline, for example. So I look at it like the same way with that, but I just think it's a little unnecessary. But again, I will agree that the way they're doing it, if you're going to do it, the way they're doing it is probably the way to do it.
Yeah,
I'd argue that the more insensitivity part for me comes from them using the police at a time, which obviously in the world is not probably the best time to use the police in terms of arresting, and that it was presented very well. But I think they should have maybe made it a bit more cutty, because obviously the police were just on a kind of repeat of lines.
I loved the thing falling and going, Jeff Hardy? Does anyone know Jeff Hardy? It was like, it was so cheesy, and picking up the bottle, like, oh! But like Renee Young, like for example, I thought she played it really well. So there was a lot of it was quite good, but there were some hokey things, like you say, with the police. It was a little awkward.
But I mean, also I think as well that it was nice that they had it already kind of wrapped up the week after. I think obviously because maybe I'm guessing that was the plan, because the match was announced now. But I think if they had it go on a little bit too long, that's when people would have been like, okay, it's a bit insensitive. Yeah, obviously now we got to the point where it is a setup, so it's not like they're taking. No, they did still take the mick out of him a little bit out of the situation, but they have used it to further him to make him.
They have kind of moved away from it. Yeah, like you say, they show us the setup. There's not like this kind of like everybody judge Jeff for like 3-4 weeks, which sometimes would happen. So I think, it's a good call right there.
I mean, I think for me the only downside to it is like, fair enough, they want to do that kind of story and stuff, but it's like, if you're going to do that, why are the police not coming out the following week then to arrest Sheamus, when it's like, where's the consequence? It's like, if they're going to run with a story where somebody has run over Elias and they've got eyewitnesses apparently, then
maybe that's what I've heard of Backlash, man. That should be your prediction. At the end of it, someone comes and puts him in handcuffs.
What, you're gonna get? What, they're gonna have like Big Boss Man come out or something?
Elias is gonna run down and just be like, he did it.
And Sheamus will just be like, yeah, I did it for The Rock. But,
well, you never know. Yeah, that.
Also, haven't they said that Elias is going to be out for 6 months or whatever, which obviously in wrestling means he's probably not going to be out for very long at all.
It'd be
but it always open
SummerSlam.
So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe Elias will somewhat be part of it down the line.
Guy can't catch a break either. Like, he got thrown off the platform thing, and now he's getting run over.
Maybe they want to kill him.
Like...
Yeah, maybe it will come back that he was all part of it. I mean, that might be quite an
maybe
interesting take, but I don't know. That probably drag it out again. But anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, I think it's going to be. I think Sheamus will probably get the win in this match, and then obviously it will lead into like further down the line, Jeff winning it overall. But I'm not 100% sure whether it's going to come out that it's just Sheamus behind it. I reckon there's going to be like a bigger picture behind it all. And
I think Elias eventually. But...
yeah, like it won't just be like a one-man kind of vendetta against Jeff, so to speak. So. Yes, I think, as I say, for me, it's going to be a win for Sheamus. So that was obviously Sheamus and Jeff Hardy's match. Just a quick little side note is we're only going to actually go through the announced matches at this stage. So there's only 5 announced matches at time of recording.
Yeah, I'm finding it weird that this seems to happen a lot lately. Like, I know there's usually 1 or 2 matches announced in the last week, but it seems like they're having a lot more title changes on Raw and SmackDown lately and stuff like that. I don't know if it's because they're trying to just get people interested. Because it's such a risky time with these no audience shows and stuff. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of last minute decisions on Raw and SmackDown, and a lot of title changes on Raw and SmackDown as well.
I think it's because they can't tell if people are invested. At least when you've got a crowd, you get a reaction.
Yeah, so there's a lot of knee-jerk decisions. Yeah.
I think as well they're kind of rewarding people who are, staying about during this time. Obviously, Apollo Crews, he obviously was someone who, said he didn't mind working, and he's been rewarded with the US title.
Yeah, and rewarding the fans really, probably for tuning in on a weekly basis as well. Like, how else are people to come back every week if like you said, there's no atmosphere? And but anyway, well, we've got a few more matches to talk about at least.
Yeah. And yeah, as you're saying, talking about rewarding, Asuka's reward for winning Money in the Bank. Great segue there. Asuka's reward for winning Money in the Bank, as we saw, was becoming Raw Women's Champion, and she will defend that championship at Backlash against Nia Jax. Does Asuka get injured?
Oh, I hope not.
Oh, come on, Dan. Really? Like, that's what you lead with? Yeah,
The answer is no, because
we'd
she'll
stay away from that, but clearly not. Okay.
The answer is no, because Asuka is going to kick her ass before she gets a chance to.
Okay, right. Nice attempt at a save there, but no, I guess we kind of got to talk about that though. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on about, obviously, injuries going on at the moment, and a lot of strong opinions.
I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff about like the buckle bomb. People saying it should have actually been banned beforehand. So when Seth injured Sting with the same move, and obviously he injured Finn with a version of it into the so people were saying, like, should that move have actually been banned before that? So obviously then that spot wouldn't have caused the injury.
Yeah,
I mean,
but then
I've actually seen one of them happen live. I mean, I'm not sure if it was at a show that you were at, Scott, as well.
Yeah.
It was an old LDN show where it was Ricky hyping Ash, and as he's done it in the corner, he's missed the turnbuckle and gone straight, like hit the top and gone straight over the top to the floor.
Move.
And it's like, it's one of those moves where like powerbomb in the middle of the ring looks beautiful, but all it takes is just to do it wrong. If you're doing it just short of it, they're going to hit their head. If you do it too far, then they're going to go straight over. It's like,
I think, to be fair, like, you know, a lot of it could happen to anyone. You know, let's look. You know, D'Lo and Droz, they weren't exactly bad performance, were they? You know, I know it weren't the same move, but you know, just as an example, these things happen. But it's more likely to happen with certain talent, and I'm not trying to put Nia Jax down because I think she gets a lot of crap as it is. But I think Nia Jax doing it and Seth Rollins doing it are two completely different situations. Seth has a way more experience. We got to remember, Nia Jax hasn't been wrestling that long. So it might seem like it because she's been on the main roster for a while and stuff like that. But obviously, Seth's got a much longer career, and even he messed up, you know? So it's a tough one. But I think if you're going to do it, special occasions and a lot of safety measures go in place, maybe practice it a few times. I don't know. And maybe only certain select hands can do it. Like when he slowly brought back pile drivers, you know, it seemed like
it's only certain guys,
drivers, you know.
But then it's like, it's one of the things, like accidents. Like, look at Joe, like he's doing the muscle buster the whole time in like TNA, didn't hurt anyone. He's done it to Tyson Kidd, broke his neck, ended his career. It's like it's one of those. Just
and again, both
an
those
accident.
guys, So, but maybe it is more likely with certain talents. I don't know, but
I mean, I don't think she can be like 100%. In my opinion, I don't think she could be 100% to blame for Kyrie, the one where she threw her into the steps. You know, I think Kyrie was going in like just to make the move look better.
I think
she tripped. Essentially, she did trip, but
yeah, there's a lot of factors. I think the move it is kind of, you know, the risk is higher on that move. There is still quite a bit of sloppiness in Nia Jax's game. To be fair, it does happen more often than not. But again, I think people have looked for something to moan about with her, and while I do think there are issues, I think she's getting it way harder because people want to be annoyed, and that is come from many other things, but come from the way she's been presented on TV. It's come from people just not liking her character and people not liking the way she does work, and then her own, you know, words and what she says, you know, online, and the situation with Ronda and how she ironically said the same thing, how Ronda was working unsafe, and now it's come back to kind of bite her. So I think that's probably played a part here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of the thing. I just don't think Nia Jax is the right person to face Asuka at this point. I can only think in a way that they're doing almost like what we did with Tamina last month. They're going to get rid of one challenger, kind of the least worthy challenger, so to speak, perhaps, straight away off the gate, and then move it on. Because that's something they keep doing now. They're kind of resetting every month to a new feud. So I'm just hoping that it's a 5-minute match. Asuka wins, and Asuka gets a new opponent. I think Nia's just not the one at the moment. I think we all have bad days. We can have bad weeks, but we're talking like a bad entire return. It's
Like she came back from like double ACL surgery on her knee, so it's
Yeah.
like, you know, you could think like the first one you're thinking, yeah, it could be a bit of ring rust and stuff like that, and it could also be that she's not really like, she doesn't know her own strength, because like you look at the size difference as well. Kyrie's tiny compared to her. It's like, especially like, throwing her into the ropes, into the steps as well. It's like, you know, she may think, okay, so I need to put this much into it if I'm like doing it to say like a Natalia or something, but then someone like Kyrie, who's a lot smaller, it's like you maybe didn't need that much force on
She
it.
could be
but then,
overcompensating as well, you know, like, you know,
Exactly.
especially when people say like work the big style, you know, like maybe she is putting too much force into it because of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those, as you said, a lot of people are there just they want to bitch about Nia if they can. It's one of them things, you know, when it was fun to boo Cena and it was cool to do it. It now seems it's the cool thing to do is to complain about Nia at any given time if she does something wrong. As you said, she come back from injury. Yes, there isn't an excuse for her not being ready when she should be. If she's a professional athlete, then she should be doing it fine. But I think it's going to take a couple, you know, like a little while longer for her to get back into the position where she was in. I mean, saying that, she wasn't the greatest of in-ring competitors before the injury. You know, it's one of those. There's a positive and negative in both situations. But I mean, picking someone, I want Asuka to win. There's no point in letting her have the title to take it away from her straight away. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you think that's what's going to happen then? That Asuka is going to keep it?
Yeah, I'd hope so.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I want Asuka to keep it, and kind of like what Lucas was saying, you know, like we talk about transitional champions. I think this is a transitional opponent and a transitional feud. I hope that's the case anyway. Not because, you know, this agenda against Nia, just because, like you said, I don't think this is the time for it. I don't think she's been presented in that way just yet. I don't think she's the one for that spot. So to, you know, truly challenge Asuka and take it. And I think it is maybe something, you know, to get us by to get to again to SummerSlam. So, I think it's Asuka.
So I think as well, it was Nia was initially meant to be the one facing Becky at Money in the Bank. So I think it's probably just them saying, well, okay, we were going to give you a women's title match then. So, you know, obviously Becky couldn't make it and stuff. So it's like, okay, we'll move it now and we'll give you that title shot now. And it was probably going to be a one and done thing, I reckon. Asuka's just going to go in. I mean, it could go quite short. You know, will they have Kyrie come out and like play into some of that stuff? Because obviously they're still going to build Nia as this big monster, and obviously Asuka just has a style all of her own, and she is just incredible.
It's an interesting matchup, to be fair.
Like it is very interesting. Two very like different styles as well. Yeah. And I think, but I do think Asuka will, in the end, it will look like very, very convincing, although it won't be. But.
Okay. I like the little mind games of Nia coming out dressed as Asuka and stuff like that. I like things like that. So I don't think, as far as the actual storyline goes, I think it's been all right. And I think this match could be a good match, but I do think it should be Asuka. Like if they cover up the things they need to cover up, but I do think it needs to be Asuka going forward. And I think WWE are hopefully aware of that.
Yeah, well, she's been the MVP of the empty arena era anyway, so I think, you know, she's deserving of like a decent run with the championship. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're all kind of in agreement essentially on that one. So shall we move on to?
Yeah.
So let's now flip back over to the blue brand and the Blue Universal Championship, which features the champion Braun Strowman in a handicap match against The Miz and John Morrison. Now,
I'm trying so hard not to be negative, man.
What? Is it going to be... So, do you think if Miz and Morrison win, are they going to do the old lay cool thing where they're going to like split the belt in half, have half?
If Miz and Morrison win, I mean, I love them, but I hate that. I've been on about this. I think even on our Money in the Bank one, talked about similar things about, you know, the Freebird rule. And over the years on Talking Beans, I spoke about that and sharing titles and two people going, no. Let's just not do it. Now,
are you praying for Braun to win?
I really want Braun to win. Like, if it was the guys singularly, Maybe, I like both those guys. I like them as a team. I like them individually. And I like, we've been talking about Braun being built back up and back to his flipping over truck days. He's back, baby. He's flipping over truck. I like that. I like the presentation around it. But it's one of those feuds again. There's so many times where this happens where I'm like, I just wish you weren't doing this feud. I just wish you just stop pretending, because you're devaluing the title. You're devaluing what it means. Like what? So now, anyone can say, the two of us are going to go for it. Why don't four of us, guys? Why don't we go people? And, four of us. He's big and muscly, but four of us, we might have something on him for you, some dirty tactics. So, yeah, let's do that. It's ridiculous. What? Anyone can go for the title now. It's absolutely pathetic. So the quicker this storyline is over and done with, I'm more scared of what they're going to do. And again, over the years, I've had many, that's why I think Rob's laughing. I've had many rants like this where I want to see it done with, because I'm scared about what they're going to do. And it's me, guys. It's the Nicholas thing as well. As much as that was a funny moment, it seems to happen a lot to Braun.
And also, it's the third most important title at the moment, or fourth most important title on SmackDown at the moment as well. Because it's
it's going to become.
You've got the IC title, which is they're building that as essentially the main event, their main title there at the moment, it seems. Whereas, I think at the moment it's just Miz and Morrison are the placeholders just until Wyatt's back off of paternity leave.
Yeah,
congratulations, by the way. Bray and JoJo, so
to Lucas's point, a transitional kind of feud. I understand it on that point, but the title thing is just, I'm getting angry.
I mean, if you're going to do this match, do it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be for the title.
I think my main issue with it is, going back to when we said about Jeff and Sheamus, and obviously that's quite serious. I think this is too cartoony. SmackDown recently, when they had Miz and Morrison kind of playing practical jokes on Braun Strowman, I got it to an extent, but
it was cheesy when it was DX, man. These guys can't be doing it.
So you're saying they're going to turn this into a tag team match and have Kayla Braxton team with Braun Strowman?
I'm just a bit aren't we past that kind of stuff, especially for a world championship? And I think obviously Braun and Bray, they put on something semi-decent, and it was at least presented well, and now we're going straight back to jokey stuff. And I'm glad though that Braun's back to tipping over trucks to an extent. I'm also a bit this is a bit jokey, this is a bit not serious. They haven't announced yet whether they are doing the whoever gets the pin is the champion, because that would actually entice me more for this contest, because then you've got the obviously story you can tell with obviously Miz and Morrison fighting over who's going to get the pin. Because obviously I reckon they would both want to be champions. I can't believe this, but Miz's championship reign was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
His solo WWE championship reign.
With angry Miz girl.
Since then.
And obviously Morrison's never had one, and it looked like he would get one before Miz, because he looked like one of those kind of chosen ones. The way
absolutely.
Just before he left the company, at least. So
I suppose it all depends if they class the ECW title as a world title. But,
they
you know what they're like.
But,
they try to. But
it was more like the European title. So.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, going back to that whole cartoony thing and the truck, I made me laugh so much. Right? What did he say? You want to play games or jokes or whatever it was? Then he goes, ha ha ha! Who does that? Who laughs? And he goes, wait, I'm big and mean. It was so unrealistic.
I think someone even said as well that you could still see the cable as well underneath the van once you'd flipped it.
Yeah.
It's you've had all that time to edit it out and you've not even tried to cover it up. But I think for me, I can only see a Strowman win in this one, especially if it's. I think if it's
in them both.
Obviously, being a title match, it's got to be Strowman. I think if it wasn't for the title, then there'd be more of an argument for the two people winning it. But
yeah, I think it's got to be Strowman. And I think it will be Strowman. I think WWE will surely go with that. And maybe...
they'll probably lead to him and The Fiend or something at SummerSlam.
Yeah. One of them put on top of the other, pins them both or something like that. Make him look really strong. You could argue
the double power slam or something.
Yeah. You could argue that it kind of makes Miz and Morrison not look so great because they've been a bit hit and miss as far as booking when they've come back. But at the same time, they're getting a lot of the limelight. So I'd say it's not too damaging for them because they are the kind of cheesy, kind of sleazy heels. So it's not too bad if they get annihilated by one big man.
I
Definitely.
just want to know, because last time you said, and you made a bold prediction on Money in the Bank, and you said, I really, really, really do not want Otis to win. So how many reallys is this?
It's probably way more than that, to be honest. You know, like I had reasons for that, but I could still understand. Well, it depends how they're still going to go with that, as far as whether or not he cashes in on tag titles. But
So an Otis cash in here would be your worst nightmare, pretty much.
No. What would be the worst is Miz and Morrison win it. They are both the champ. It goes down in record books as they are both the champ, and then Otis cashes in and takes it off like that, and then
wins half the belt.
Or, yeah, like
shares it with Mandy.
It's the stuff of nightmares, boys.
Someone else, the Versal champion.
I can't. It like when remember when Punk and Cena faced them, one of them had basically one from WWE shop. It looked like one of them had the real.
One was in Punk's fridge, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was So I mean, that at least they had a reason for that. But this, I mean, to answer your question, Rob, probably the most reallys I could ever do for that scenario there, and a few reallys off it for just simply them winning it.
So go and buy that. It's a possibility that Miz and Morrison could win.
It might happen.
It
might happen.
If it happens, it's your fault.
Don't say that. If there's anything I don't want to be attached to, mate, it's booking decisions like that.
Well, there is the lead writer's role on SmackDown is actually up for grabs now. So with Krista Joseph getting the older Jack Black, so.
Something that popped into my head though is I might see it actually continuing, because I think you got Extreme Rules next, haven't you? Then SummerSlam. So potentially, I don't know if they can fit a cage in the PC. I could potentially see them doing a cage match with Braun against Miz and Morrison in the cage next month.
Did you see that structure that they put in for Thatcher and Riddle on NXT?
Yeah, ridiculous, wasn't it? But I mean, I can see them maybe continuing a little bit. I mean, I guess it depends how long Bray's going to be away for. Because the issue they've got with Bray is that he doesn't do TV as much, or the matches on TV, so it's hard to kind of promote, that far in advance. Okay?
I think he'll probably be back like after this lot. To be fair, he'll probably be there this week to like film all the stuff for next week and that maybe, but
maybe
I don't know. I'm worried that by bringing him back too early, they'd risk more of the fact that he has just had a child. I don't know if they'd want to risk that situation. Being around other people, so I reckon he may be off for a couple months. And then
SummerSlam possibly,
yeah. But that's my thinking. But I would say Braun needs to win this.
I think we're all in agreement. I think with that. So yeah, shall we now flip back over to the one WWE title essentially that does matter, the big one, Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley.
I feel like I can finally be positive. I'm really excited.
So they're basically pushing Bobby Lashley like they were trying to initially. I think the addition of MVP as essentially as his mouthpiece is just going to work wonders for his character, and it's going to make him seem like it's like, okay, I'll do the talking for you. You just go out there and do your business. But I think, and him working with Drew, I think at the moment Drew's on such a high. I think he can get he'll get good matches out of everyone, and I think the two will work really well. Obviously, I've said before that I don't like having the title changes happening so quickly, and I feel like Drew is going to hold the title for a while. And
he's got past that the first kind of barriers, hasn't he? It looks like he's going to keep it for a while now.
Because the only thing that does kind of worry me a bit is the fact that they've always been pushing a lot for Lashley and Lesnar, and there's talk that Lesnar could be back by SummerSlam. So it's like, would they pull the trigger and do that? And if so, then you'd probably lean maybe Lashley will win the title, but that's the kind of match that doesn't necessarily need a title.
Lashley how many times do we say that and they still do it? Like pretty much every Lesnar match at Mania,
they probably won't put it on. They won't put it on Lashley. They'll just have Lesnar come in like the week before SummerSlam and beat him or something.
Oh, it'll definitely be on TV at this rate. Yeah.
I've actually got as Lashley win. To be fair, I think he's had a lot of build this past few weeks on TV, and I think that he is someone who I guess they just keep wanting to pull the trigger on, and they've shown that they're willing to change titles during this time. Drew, I think, is someone who they are still very high on. Don't get me wrong. But I get a feeling that it is very much like knee-jerk reactions at stuff. And at the moment, MVP is doing absolute wonders for Lashley. And I think they need to do something. But this could also be where we see like a DQ or something, which I hope we don't.
I think, or Lana could. I think Lana could even cost him, because obviously there's been that kind of dissension that they've been having, like with Lana and MVP butting heads a bit backstage. So maybe it could be like a Lana distraction accidentally, maybe costs him. But
and he ends up having a pick between the two of them, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, no, I was basically, Lucas, you said what I was literally going to say. But the only thing I would have added was if, let's say, for example, Lashley does win, they could build this up towards SummerSlam. And then I think the only way you could bring Brock in to make as a contender again would put him in a triple threat match. I mean, who doesn't want to see Drew versus Brock versus Bobby Lashley? Just,
that'd be good, yeah.
You know, it's that I think, and then whoever walks out of that at SummerSlam has the title. Just both of them get, like, you know, if Lashley does win, he gets his moment. Drew's had his. Unfortunately, neither of them will be around massive crowds, which they deserve, especially Drew. But yeah, I mean, they can always have another run with it, and when the crowds are back, they get their moment of what they wanted in the first place. So it doesn't make a difference, really.
I think Drew, it wouldn't be as bad if Drew lost it now, because maybe he's just going to get that second moment when the audience are there anyway. They're not going to hold off for that anymore or whatever else. And I wouldn't mind seeing Lashley as the champ, just because, like, when they start pushing him like this is the Lashley I want to see. And I think it is working with MVP. You know, we were talking about back on the Money in the Bank one, weren't we, about the kind of whether or not, you know, they were really going to take things seriously with Lashley and do this MVP thing. And I think it's been good. I'm just not sure if they'll see it as like the fans are ready for it. I don't know, like, because if you look at this in isolation, it seems believable that Lashley would do it. And if you look at the Lashley that, you know, the best parts of Lashley that have been portrayed over the years, but we can't pretend Lashley wasn't what Lashley was a month ago and 2 months ago either. It's just, I'm not sure if it's a little too quick to pull the trigger. I think if you take it in isolation, it actually works, but I don't know if they're going to see it as the fans buy it yet. I'm not sure. So I think they probably would go with Drew. I think in my heart, I probably would like Drew as well, but hey, I wouldn't mind Lashley. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Have we all picked then? I'll say Drew.
Lucas, you said Lashley?
It is Lashley.
Cool. So
Rob,
so we've got 3-1
for Drew. Is
so
that okay?
3-1 for Drew there. So hopefully Drew can carry on carrying the flag for Great Britain. And so now we move on to the greatest wrestling match ever. Ignoring all the others, ignoring like Taker Michaels from WrestleMania 25. That didn't happen. None of these other great matches happened. The one you want to look for is Edge versus Randy Orton, Backlash 2020. That's probably, in my opinion, I think WWE are just screwing with us. I think this is going to be get in the ring, RKO 1, 2, 3. Done.
I mean, that would be a massive slap in the face, to be fair. I mean, I don't like the branding. Even
hilarious, though.
Even the greatest Royal Rumble. Hated that. Hated names like that. I think it's pathetic. Like, we all were hyped for Edge's return, and like we've mentioned it on the WrestleMania Talking Beans episode, for example. But like, obviously, it didn't go, I think, the way everyone thought it would. It did seem to drag a bit, and I just think, knowing that's how people feel about this feud, why are you then going to slap a label on it like the greatest ever? I think labels like that are ridiculous anyway. The promotion for it is ridiculous, using The Greatest Showman. Good film though. And but it's just I really don't like it. I think you've put too much of an expectation on it. The one thing I do like, well, I do think it could be a great match. I do like both these guys. I do like the storyline. I liked everything about it leading into Mania. And the one thing I really like is at least they're calling it a wrestling match. I guess
they're using the word wrestling again.
So,
Paul Heyman wins the day again.
Yeah, I just think it's too risky. I think it's way too risky. But yeah.
Just hopefully it don't go 40 minutes like at Mania.
Oh, please don't. They're in a corner now. Like, I've seen that they have 3 options. You've mentioned one already, Dan. You mentioned, that it might literally be a ruse and they just do low, RKO 1, 2, 3. Number 2, they're going to have their normal average match. And the only solution to that is Orton has to win. Then Orton can obviously have the boast of winning the greatest wrestling match ever, which would fit his heel persona. And that's okay. That's where they're going. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's the only way to salvage it. Or number 3, they are going to have a 7-star match. Somehow, these two blokes in their 40s, I believe Orton's 40 now, are going to have a 7-star classic. It's going to go 50. Have to go at least an hour, I guess. And Dave Meltzer will pretend it happened in Japan.
Yeah, it happened at Tokyo Dome, man. Yeah,
they will begin the match in their entrances doing Canadian destroyers down the ramp because I don't know. I don't see it.
I can't see it happening. I think they could do that, but it's one of those where they could do it at a real Mania in front of audience when you don't expect it. You think it'd be good. It's even better than you imagined. It could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Like this way.
We've got two guys in their 40s. Guys in their 40s. One of them, Edge hasn't had an actual wrestling match for 9 years at least. And Orton, he's just wrestled the same match, isn't he, for the past about 10 years.
King of the chin
I like Orton, but he's not in there with that. And it's a shame because Orton's a great storyteller, like Triple H, but people aren't going to pick like a lot of matches of Triple H's to go, oh, right, they're fantastic wrestling matches because they wrestle a slow, methodical style, which does fit their character and their kind of motif as what they are. But in terms of greatest wrestling match, like, it's not going to happen to a degree. Like a main roster pay-per-view match will never, ever get, like, above 4.5 stars. Like, it won't happen. Even takeover stuff now, he's capped it about 5.5, wasn't it, for Gargano and Cole last year? One of them got 5 and one of them got 5.5. Like he just won't do it, and so it's too hard to kind of be like, oh, this is the greatest wrestling match ever.
It's crazy that we're even debating it, isn't it? You know, like we know it's rubbish. Like why are we even talking about it? You know? But I think
you've got to break it down to people. I guess you've got to break it down to people.
It's like you said earlier, it's cartoonish. It's really childish. Why are we calling it stupid things like this? It's stuff like this that puts me off of wrestling, you know? Like, but
I think even Edge, when he said it in the promo, he just didn't sound sincere. Like, he just knows it's rubbish. You know, I think he knows that. And I think as well, like Edge, you know, hopefully this is it. If Orton wins, I'm worried that they're going to be a third match, and I think I'm of the mindset now. Let's get Edge working with other people. When Edge, I'm not even the biggest Edge fan, to be fair, but when Edge obviously did return, it's like I thought, okay, Edge and Rollins, Edge and Styles, even going back to maybe even Edge and Mysterio, because Mysterio's just got to the level where he just doesn't think it can ever get worse at doing wrestling.
I think though, for me, the biggest slap in the face for me was having Shawn Michaels promote it.
Yeah, but he's on the payroll though, isn't he? So he's in the PC. So there's not much he can really do. He's got a gun to his head.
His hands are tied. But much like Edge and Orton, they probably don't like this tagline either. But it is what it is.
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like the only way to kind of end this thing is if you give Edge the win, it's done. But then Randy Orton doesn't come out of it in any positive way. Like, he just lost to Edge, and that's it. So I think the only way to do it is have Randy win, have them have one more match, the final match between Randy and Edge. Book that as whatever the hell you want to call it.
The greatest match. It's like the whole once in a lifetime, isn't it? Yeah, twice in a lifetime.
You know, like the final match ever.
The greatest rematch ever. Like, but I think you're right.
Something like that.
I think Orton's got to win. I think they probably will go for a third. I'd like it to be Edge just to wrap it up and be done with it. Even though I like Orton to get some of his shine back, but I just want this feud to be over. I want them to move on to new things, just because it's a shame because it could have been so much more with an audience and stuff like that. But it is where it is. So yeah, I think but it probably will go the way you said, where Orton wins it and we go on to another.
I reckon it'll go to a TLC match because we don't expect it to happen.
Ooh. That's a good shout, actually. Especially next one.
Well, because it wasn't Orton using the chair, wasn't he? Doing the concerto and stuff earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And I think that would actually be quite a good way of elevating and finishing the feud. But it's just hopefully they don't call it the greatest TLC match ever.
Oh, please don't.
You know, so this is better than WrestleMania 17 TLC match. But I'm with the thing. I think Orton's got to win it. Is how I feel. And I think I will be very, very interested in seeing kind of what rating it actually does get in the end. And it's kind of weird because it kind of has to be really bad or really good. It can't really be in the middle. And I think it will fall in the middle. And I think if it falls in the middle, it's failed on both respects, isn't it? Because it's not the best. So you can't be promoted like it is the actual best. And it's not the worst. So you can't even...
Exactly. It's not like it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be terrible. Like, they're both great. They can pull off a great match. You know, I really thought the Mania one was going to be even better than it was, but Yeah, so I don't doubt them. It's just like, why put that label on it? But anyway.
Yeah, it's even for, I think, you know, if we're going to mention top 10 workers, any of the top 10 workers, yeah, that, you know, you can think of, I think it's such a high caliber thing to kind of put on anyone, really. You know, even like, you know, your Omegas and your Carters and everyone in Japan. Basically.
You'd never promote it that way. You'd never do it, even with
No.
with those guys. But oh well.
It's too hard a task.
So, now to me, I think, I do think though that I honestly think it's going to be quite short. You know, I think Orton's going to just win it. Like, it's going to be something just out of nowhere kind of thing. It's just going to surprise everyone. Like, I hope that it does go back and forward for a bit, but I just, for some reason, I've just got this
one
feeling.
drags and then one is too short. And then the nice one in the middle with
the next one in the middle. Yeah. So
what's that little Goldilocks?
That's the greatest wrestling match.
Yeah, but
the quick one.
Yeah, I do think Orton will win, and then it will lead to like a blow off at like either a SummerSlam or because SummerSlam they're hoping to have fans back at least.
I think that's why I said the TLC, because I mean the very first TLC match was at SummerSlam, wasn't it? In 2000.
Yeah.
So this would be 20 years for it. So it only makes sense 20 years later, and then they have the TLC match. So
where's SummerSlam meant to be at as well? Isn't it meant to be in Canada?
Boston.
No, it was meant to be
It's Boston, isn't it?
Boston,
It's
Boston, yeah.
but they're moving it to Florida somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. There we have it, guys. That is our Backlash predictions. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let us know if you agree with us. Just leave us a little comment down below. And yeah, don't forget like, share, and subscribe.
I mean, I think
Whose ice cream van's that, by the way?
See you guys soon.
Yeah.
Where we can talk about if we were right or not.
Keep checking back. We're going to be doing a review of NXT In Your House, the 25th anniversary of the very first In Your House. So yeah, check it out.